the trauma caused by Hurricane Helene. NCVAN is also at the forefront of developing a post-incident response team in collaboration with a statewide task force aimed at addressing the immediate and long-term victims that would arise from an event of a mass violence incident if it would ever occur. I want to share with you one specific case that illustrates the devastating impacts that crime can have on individuals and communities. And it highlights the harrowing nature of the crime, but also the resilience of those affected by crime and what that can bring. In the United States versus Cawthor, Thomas Kyle Cawthor, the defendant, went on an absolute crime spree and caused profound trauma to multiple victims here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Back on May 11th, 2023, Cawthor robbed a Walmart store, smashing a display case and threatening a store clerk with a knife before fleeing with numerous stolen iPhones. Crime spree was just getting started. After that, he went on to steal a City of Raleigh truck, crashed that truck into a parking deck in Crabtree Valley Mall. He continued with his rampage when he carjacked a woman from that mall parking lot, dragged her as he sped away in that vehicle. During the ensuing police pursuit, the vehicle was remotely disabled, thank goodness, by OnStar, and Cawthor was apprehended. Now, the victim had to be hospitalized with multiple broken bones, and she survived this terrifying ordeal. But that demonstrates the remarkable strength and resilience that can be seen in instances like this. Now, Cawthor, the defendant, was sentenced to 20 years in prison for this robbery and carjacking. And the case underscores the deep and lasting trauma that violent crimes can have on an individual, on a store, on the people that work at a store, and on the greater community at large by just a small series of events. He's now being held accountable, thank goodness, and the community can try to start healing in the wake of the terror he caused. As we reflect on this example, let us honor the strength of these survivors and the commitment of those who work every day so tirelessly to protect and serve our communities. To all the victims and families that are here today in our audience, I want to express my deepest gratitude and honor. Your courage is truly an inspiration to us in law enforcement, prosecutors' offices all over. Your strength is a beacon of hope. Together, may we continue to build a community where we can stand in kinship together with those who need us the most, offering support, compassion, and a path to healing. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to now introduce my colleague from Charlotte, North Carolina, the Western District, United States Attorney Russ Ferguson, who will introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Dan. It is great to be here with you and your wonderful office, and Michelle Scott and the IAC, which has put on this incredible event. I know it was a ton of work, and it shows. So it is an honor to be here commemorating National Crime Victims' Rights Week. And like Dan and Deborah said, I love this year's theme. In my office in Charlotte, we have a sign with this logo right on the outside the elevators as you come up. So every time I come and go, I see it and get to think about it. And you know, kinship means something to everyone, and to me it means family. That's what kinship means. And family is so important when we're talking about crime and the victims of crime. And not just because when you have children you start to worry about crime a little more, which I definitely did, but because in the law enforcement community, we strive to see victims and the families of victims as our family. You are why we do what we do. And this week, National Crime Victims' Rights Week, is a week where we all pause and we think about crime victims and their families. But I want to be clear that in my office, and I know Dan's office and Randall's office, we don't stop thinking about you after this week. We think about you every week, we think about you every day. You are why we do what we do. Now, as federal prosecutors, our duty to crime victims doesn't end with a win in the courtroom. We like that, we like to win in the courtroom, but we don't walk into the courtroom and forget about you. We are committed to making sure that victims, survivors, and their families have the resources they need beyond that win in the courtroom. Now, in my district, in the Western District of North Carolina, we were really put to the test this year during Hurricane Helene. I know you all know the news about that. We lost 100 people. We couldn't even get to them because thousands of bridges and roads were washed away. And once we did get there, we found that even more homes were destroyed or nearly destroyed. Now, that affected everyone. Right? That didn't just affect crime victims, that affected everyone, but it especially affected crime victims. Those are the families that didn't have a family member anymore there to help, or didn't have the resources that were stolen from them that they'd otherwise use to rebuild. All of them had the emotional suffering that so often accompanies being the victim of a crime. So my office joined with emergency personnel, service providers, victim advocates, and ensured that those crime victims had received the services and support they needed without interruption. We treated crime victims like our family, connecting and healing through kinship. Now that was a community effort. We can't take the credit for that. Everyone assisted, everyone across the state assisted in my district in the western part of the state. And I'm honored today to introduce two speakers who share that same spirit of service and dedication. First, Erin Blondell, Assistant United States Attorney here in the Eastern District of North Carolina. She prosecutes everything: human trafficking, child exploitation, sexual assault, all sorts of violent crimes. You name it, Erin is there. And through that work has witnessed the firsthand damage and pain people suffer at the hands of criminals. More than just putting bad people in jail, which Erin does, she has been an advocate for victims, always striving to ensure that the victims' voices and rights remain central in her cases. She believes justice is not just about securing a lengthy prison sentence, which she also does, but it's about restoring victims' rights, trusts, and dignity. So thank you for your important work, Erin. It's also my honor to introduce Decembre Pierce. Decembre is a dedicated victims' rights advocate whose work ensures that individuals impacted by crime receive the support and services they need. In December of 2021, Decembre endured the tragic loss of her son in a violent incident. His name was Parrish Pierce Jr. Now, a lot of people, after that, will withdraw from society. They go under a rock. I know I would. But not Decembre. It fueled her passion and her commitment to victim advocacy, and she continues to work hard to help victims and survivors access resources and services they are entitled to, regardless of their circumstances. Her work ensures that crime victims, survivors, and their loved ones do not suffer alone or in silence. She brings them out from under the rock. Thank you, Decembre. Their hard work and tireless efforts remind us that justice is a responsibility for all of us. So please join me in welcoming Erin Blondell and Decembre.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. I want to take you back about 9 years to April 2016, when a man working at a car dealership in Raleigh happened to notice a 16-year-old boy walk into his dealership. That boy was Parrish, PJ, and he was in the company of a man named Andre Thorpe. Now, this man working at the car dealership recognized PJ as a missing child, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. And he called the Raleigh Police Department. That phone call blew open a massive investigation led by the Raleigh Police Department, Detective Hubble, Detective Pike, and Homeland Security investigations, including Special Agent Glenn Covington, into a man who had been spending years sexually abusing and exploiting children, all while lurking in plain sight. This story actually begins in the early 2000s, when Andre Thorpe repeatedly put himself in a position of authority over at-risk children. Our investigation discovered that he had worked at the Durham Public Schools at their aftercare program, at the Chapel Hill Carrboro Public Schools aftercare program, and at Boys and Girls Club of Durham. He also became involved in Durham area churches, in particular their praise and pantomime dance, which was a way for children to come, be involved in their faith, and build community. Through those activities, we learned he had an MO. He would first befriend the parents. Often these parents were looking for mentorship and assistance in bringing up their children in a positive way, in a faith-based way. Once he earned the parents' trust, he would befriend the children. And then he would find reasons to be alone with those children. And then he would move from there to sexual assault and abuse. We confirmed in our investigation 2 victims before we'll get to PJ, and we believe there were many others who we were never able to confirm identity. But then there was PJ. PJ joined a church pantomime troupe in Durham when he was approximately 13 years old. His family had just gone through a divorce, and his loving mom, you're going to hear a lot more about, wanted him to have a positive community in his faith. And that's where he met Andre Thorpe, who was the director of that troop. At first it was normal. PJ was doing church activities with his friends. But over time, Andre Thorpe became suspiciously close to PJ. He started taking PJ places without his mom's knowledge or permission. He started doing what we call in my job, grooming PJ with gifts, with drugs. PJ's behavior changed. His behavior worsened. He started dressing weirdly, acting weirdly, imitating this 30-something-year-old man that he was spending all his time with. And PJ's mom noticed it. She noticed that something was wrong with her son. So she finally moved PJ to Atlanta, Georgia, in part to get away from Andre Thorpe. But Andre Thorpe didn't want to let go of the boy who had become his sexual abuse partner. So he arranged for PJ, without his mom's permission, to travel back to North Carolina and come live with him for months. And PJ did at the age of 15 years old, while Thorpe could continue sexually abusing him. His mom searched and searched for him and finally found him in Durham. Again, still 15 years old. By that point, PJ had Thorpe's nickname and first initial tattooed on his body. His mom takes him home to Atlanta, but in February of 2016, Andre Thorpe drove through the middle of the night to pick up PJ again and take him back to live with him. Again, PJ was 15, and they spent months living together whilst Thorpe could sexually abuse him. PJ turned 16 while living, and I use that in quotes, with Andre Thorpe. And a couple of weeks later, while staying overnight in Raleigh for a church activity, Thorpe again sexually abused PJ and took images of it. And that's when, a few days later, he was found at the car dealership in Raleigh. Andre Thorpe was charged by the state of North Carolina and then by the federal government with multiple sex crimes. He ultimately pleaded guilty to producing those sexually explicit images of a minor. At sentencing, the federal judge said that his behavior was, and I quote, breathtaking in its evil nature. I remember the judge looked him in the eye and said, most people who come through this courtroom are evil. Most of them have made some bad choices, but he looked at me and said, you, sir, you are evil. And he gave Andre Thorpe the maximum that he could give him, which was 40 years in prison, and ordered him to spend the rest of whatever life he has left on federal supervision. I'm going to have to end my remarks on a sad but also hopefully a hopeful note. Andre Thorpe was sentenced on August 16, 2019, and barely a year later, on December 9, 2020, PJ was murdered. He was shot to death by a 17-year-old who left his body and who was later convicted of that murder. I know it broke my heart and the hearts of all of us who were fortunate enough to have met PJ and to have sought justice for him, to lose such a bright young man before he even turned 21 and had the chance to live the life that Andre Thorpe tried to steal from him. But I know that PJ lives on in his family, his little girl, his girlfriend, his sisters, and above all, his mom. One of the horrifying things about this case was how long Andre Thorpe, a predator, lived in plain sight. He lived openly with PJ while he was a missing juvenile. He took PJ around the state to activities. We interviewed so many people who turned out to have been unwitting accomplices in Andre Thorpe hiding and abusing PJ. And they were devastated to learn that Thorpe had abused their trust in him as a church leader to hurt this boy and the community. And I will tell you that the devastation that Andre Thorpe left in a broader community is incalculable. But one person never gave up on PJ. From the beginning, PJ's mom sought to protect him. She called the police, and every time PJ disappeared, she reported him missing. She moved him away from Thorpe. She showered him and supported him with love. She never gave up finding him. That car dealership, the reason we found PJ is because his mom had posted on social media, and a cousin saw that notice and happened to be working at the car dealership that day when we recovered PJ. Throughout this investigation and the prosecution, she told his story. PJ had been through a lot, and he wasn't quite ready to speak for himself, so Dee Dee did. She spoke during our investigation. She spoke at his sentencing. She stood behind the prosecution of his murder when I'm sure her heart was broken in two. And today she uses that pain to advocate for victims and their families. Dee Dee, I've learned so much from you, and now everyone here gets to as well. So thank you, and I give you all December gifts.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, good morning. Good morning. Woo. Thank you for that. Tears already. I wanted to come before you guys. This is really hard. And I wanted to come with a sound mind and not crying, and well, that's over. It's okay. One thing I'm learning over the last few years is to not apologize for crying. There is no time limit on grief, and I keep telling people that, and because I tell people that, I need to practice that. Definitely no time limit. So greetings everyone, distinguished guests, survivors, advocates, law enforcement, community members, and allies in the fight for justice. It is an honor to stand before you today during National Crime Victims' Rights Week, a time of reflection, remembrance, and recommitment. This year's theme, kinship, resonates deeply with each of us gathered here today. Kinship is more than just a word. It's a state of being, a profound recognition of our shared humanity. It reminds us that we are all connected, and through these connections, we can build a network of support for the victims, the survivors, and their families. Kinship is the foundation of victim advocacy. It is where our collective journey begins with empathy, understanding, and unwavering commitment to ensuring that no survivor stands alone. This week is not just a commemoration, it's a true call to action. It challenges us to reflect on the lives impacted by all crimes, to honor the strength of survivors, and to renew our dedication to justice. Let us walk this path together, inspired by kinship, driven by purpose, and united by compassion. Each year, millions of individuals in the United States experience the life-altering effects of crime. And not just the individuals, but their families, their friends, and their loved ones. Behind every statistic is a person, it's a mother, a father, a child, a friend, a relative, whose life has been forever changed. According to recent data, approximately 21 million crimes are reported annually in the United States. 21 million that are reported. So think about those that are not reported. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime. Gun violence claims the lives of over 40,000 people per year. 40,000. These numbers are staggering, yes they are. But they are only a part of the true story. Behind each figure is a name, a face, and a story. And I am one of those stories. Today we honor those who have lost their lives to violence. We honor the survivors who have faced unimaginable pain and yet found the strength to move forward. We honor the families who continue to advocate for justice, turning their grief into a force of change. If you all don't mind, let's take a moment of silence to remember those individuals. Today I want to share a story that is deeply personal. Ms. Aaron started. This story is not only personal because it's my child, but because in losing my child, I was able to meet so many other mothers, unfortunately, and fathers, unfortunately, but fortunately, who have endured this type of pain. This is a story that underscores the importance of kinship, advocacy, and justice. It is the story of my only biological son, Parrish Peters. PJ was a bright, vibrant young man with dreams as big as the sky. He used to always tell me, Mama, one day I'm gonna be a professional ball player and I'm gonna buy you a purple Cadillac. And I was like, why purple? Because you royalty, Mama, I'm gonna get you a purple Cadillac. He used to always say that to me. He was kind-hearted, full of life, and had an infectious smile that could light up any room. Like any parent, I envisioned a future where we would thrive, grow, and he would make a big mark on this world. We have many videos, tons of videos from the time he was a kid, when he would play like he was a football player, play like he was a pastor, play like he was the organist, the pianist, everything possible. But in 2012, our lives were changed. At just 15 years old, he was kidnapped by Andre Thorpe. Andre at the time considered himself a prophet. He called himself a prophet. I was going through a divorce. He needed another mentor, and Andre, we thought, was it. The weeks that followed were a nightmare. It was almost a blur of fear, uncertainty, and desperate searches. PJ was kidnapped by Andre, taken in the middle of the night. Every moment felt like an eternity, as those nights turned into days turned into weeks. Everyone was searching for him, from friends to family, to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. From, as she stated, we were first here in Durham, then we relocated to Georgia. So Durham PD was looking for him, Raleigh PD was looking for him, Atlanta PD was looking for him, everyone possible. But thanks to the relentless efforts of law enforcement, community support, and sheer determination, he was eventually found and recovered in Raleigh, North Carolina by Mr. Michael Mandrick, who is sitting right here behind me. Thorpe was arrested, tried, and ultimately sentenced to 40 years in prison by a federal judge. For a time, it seemed like we had turned a corner. PJ did not want to testify, and he didn't. We didn't make him testify. But he changed. Eventually, he wanted to do better. And then this became too much for him. People started finding out what happened. People started calling him names, and he didn't like it. So PJ made several bad choices. I am not ashamed of the choices my son made, because he wanted to change after he realized those were bad choices. PJ eventually joined a gang and started a gang life with really gang life. And that was not the choice he wanted. He fell in love with a young lady who was a nurse, and they had a little girl. And that's when he realized he wanted to be a father. He wanted to do better for his little girl. He wanted to be a better man. He was determined to work hard to rebuild his life. He wanted to demonstrate the resilience that he possessed and that everyone knew that he had. He wanted to be better. But life can be cruelly unpredictable. On December the 1st, 2020, tragedy struck our home again. PJ was murdered by what he considered was his best friend. His body was found in the woods on the 17th tee box of Griffin Golf Course in City Park by two gentlemen who were golfing. He had been murdered, a victim of senseless gun violence, because he wanted to change. The Griffin Police Department and emergency personnel confirmed his death on December the 9th, after being in the woods from December the 1st to December the 9th. And the investigation ensued. The person responsible, Cedrivius Wilkerson, who was Parrish's best friend, what he called his twin, his brother. He was the last known individual to be with PJ. And after multiple delays, many due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a Spalding County jury found Cedrivius Wilkerson guilty of malice murder, felony murder, and several other charges, including violation of Georgia's Street Gang and Terrorism Prevention Act. The trial's outcome brought a measure of justice, but it could never fill the void left by PJ's absence. PJ's story is not just a story. I am here because I'm his mother. I speak out constantly of PJ, of gang violence, of kidnapping, of grooming, of trafficking. We are so trusting of so many people, from pastors to friends to family members. And sometimes the signs are there, and sometimes the signs are not. But listen to your children. Listen. It is a testament of the importance of kinship, community, and advocacy. It is a reminder that behind every headline, there is a family forever changed. PJ's story is one of many. It highlights the critical need for continued advocacy. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Not apologizing to you, but give me 1 second. One thing that I did when my son was murdered, I watched all of the news reports. I watched the newspapers because it was such a big story, because of what happened here. And the news people picked it up because it happened here from Georgia, and it became a big story. And sometimes the world can be cruel. The comments can be cruel. The people saying, good, another gang member is dead. Good that this happened. What type of family did he come from? Sometimes the world can be so cruel. So I'm here for PJ. He made bad choices, but it was a result of an overflow of things that occurred in his life. I did an interview with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution because of that, and I will continue to speak out. Victim advocacy is not just about seeking justice in the courtroom. It's about holistic support, ensuring survivors have access to resources, counseling, and a network that fosters healing. Challenges in victim advocacy are great, but there should be access to services. Many victims, particularly in marginalized communities, struggle to access the resources they need. There are legal barriers. The judicial process can be daunting, re-traumatizing, and they can also re-traumatize the victims and their families. When you don't have awesome people like these three here that stand here and support you and that are constantly there to talk you through the process, when you have people that consider you another case, it can be re-traumatizing. But these three have become family, complete family. Despite these challenges, there have been progress. Recent legislative efforts such as Marsy's Law, also known as the Crime Victims' Rights Amendment, is a North Carolina constitutional amendment that gives victims of crime the same rights as the accused and convicted. Marsy's Law and initiatives to expand victims' compensation programs are steps in the right direction, but there is more work to be done. There is a call to action. Kinship is more than just a concept. It is a call. It is about creating a community where survivors and their families feel seen, feel heard, and most importantly, where they feel supported. It is about standing together to demand justice and resource for all victims. I urge each of you to consider how you can contribute to this movement. Volunteer with victim advocacy organizations, even if it's only an hour a week. Advocate for policy changes that prioritize victims' rights, which I constantly do. I work with the National Crime Victims, and that's what we do. We are constantly doing things. Educate yourself and others about the realities victims face. Kinship is not a passive state. I used to say, when I see things on TV, well, it's not my family. I mean, you pray for them, people say pray for you, oh, we pray, we say, but do we actually pray for people? It is an active commitment to be with survivors in their journey towards healing. In conclusion, as I conclude this talk for today, let us carry forward this spirit of kinship. Let us honor the memories of those we have lost and support those who continue to fight for justice. PJ's legacy and the legacy of countless others calls us to now action. It calls us to build a world where every victim, every survivor, every family member know that they are not alone. Together, we can make that vision a reality. And lastly, but most importantly, I want to thank the following people, the agencies, for their relentless and unwavering dedication to protecting the victims, the survivors, and even their families. Wake County District Attorney's Office, Durham County Sheriff's Office, Raleigh Police Department, Dr. Cooper, the forensic pediatrician, the U.S. Department of Justice, and to every advocate, survivor, and their loved ones, but most importantly, to these three right here. Thank you so much. May God continue to bless all of us.
You know, I always find myself at these events feeling this like range of emotions of anger at the people who have done this to my people. And then sadness because even in my job, the way that we spend 20 seconds talking about something that happened in Raleigh, a shooting court, and then we don't follow up, we don't tell more of the story, we don't really dig deeper into the cause and the people, the faces behind these crimes. So this is such a great opportunity for all of us to get together. Also, I feel appreciation for all of you in law enforcement and the Justice Department and people like Michelle who are the people who literally hold our hands and hug us through some of the darkest times in our lives. So y'all are beautiful people. I do have some gift bags. Aaron, it's for you. Thank you. Let's hear it again for December. Now it is time for the flower ceremony, and this is a time to honor the crime victims. The Interagency Council of North Carolina's primary focus has been creating an event where we can respectfully honor individuals whose lives have been impacted by all kinds of victimization. And over the last 26 years, submissions are gathered from local members of the community and beyond. Victims and their loved ones share their stories and experiences by way of a few words or a photo to illustrate how their lives have been impacted by crime. And again, as December did, let's please have another moment of silence to honor the victims and the survivors we've lost over the years. We would also like to pay a special tribute to Ms. Rose White-Hearn. Rose spent her life working tirelessly to service victims and their families that have been impacted by crime. She was a fierce advocate for victims' rights and is the founder of the Interagency Council of North Carolina. Prior to her passing, April 17th, 2013, Rose worked 27 years with the North Carolina court system and the Department of Justice. Now, for those of you who haven't been part of this ceremony before, this is the way it works. For the ceremony, you will be provided with a flower and then directed by an usher to the front of the room here where you can place a flower in honor of someone impacted by crime. Please join me now in watching the following tribute video.
church sang. I said, prayer. I said, prayer will change things. Yeah, 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 yeah. Prayer will change things. I said, prayer will change things. I said, prayer will change things. I said, prayer will make a way. Will heal you. Change things. Prayer. I'm a living witness to the power of prayer. Every time I call him, he will be right there. May not come when you want him, he's right on time. Tell me what you're waiting on. Why don't you give prayer a try? I said prayer will open doors. I said prayer will give you strength. I said prayer will change things. I said prayer will change things. I'm a living witness to the power of prayer. Every time I call him, he will be right there. May not come when you want him, he's right on time. Tell me what you're waiting on. Why don't you give prayer a try? Try. I said prayer will, yeah, change things. It'll make you strong. Will change things. It'll heal your body. Yeah. Change
He's been my fourth man in the fire, time after time. Born of His Spirit, and I've been washed in His blood. And what He did for me on Calvary is more than enough. So I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. Oh, He will never fail. Oh, I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. Perfect submission and all is at rest. 'Cause I know the author of tomorrow is Lord my stand. So this is my story, yeah. This is my song, my song. I'm praising my risen King and Savior all the day long. I trust in God, yeah, my Savior, the one, and I know that He is the one never fail. He'll never fail. Oh, I trust in God, my Savior, the one. He is the one who will never fail. Oh, I know He'll never fail. Oh, it doesn't matter what you're going through. We serve a God who will never fail, never fail. So whatever you need, you just gotta put your trust. Oh yeah. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. That's why I trust Him. That's why I trust Him. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. That's why I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I sought the Lord, and He heard, and He answered. I trust in God, my Savior. Whatever you go through, we need some peace of mind. We know a God who can never fail. Whatever you need in your heart, yeah, my Savior. That's why I trust in God.
Can we hear for the men in black again? I think but after doing this several years, like just to see the new faces and the new names and the new pictures that are added to this list every year. And, it's not gonna stop, but the honor that a video like this brings, a ceremony like this brings, I hope that's lasting. Now I would like to introduce Ms. Kim Wagner Evans of Change Your Mind Counseling, who will discuss resilience, hope, and love.
Good afternoon. I'm so honored to be here. This is my first time. Thank you, Michelle, for inviting me and trusting me enough to have this time with you all. I am so touched today. I had to use many coping skills, not to be strong, but so that I could get through my part. I'm just so honored to be here. I am a mental health counselor as well as an addiction specialist. I'm also certified in trauma, so I see a lot of people who hold trauma. So mine's short. I have to have this because if not, I will be here for over an hour. So bear with me, I'm going to try to stay on course here. We've heard about kinship today. What is kinship? Connecting and healing, right? It's a system of social relationship, like we see here today. Kinship is about more than support. It's about standing alongside survivors with compassion and shared humanity. Mindfulness is a big part of this. Can you reflect for a minute on someone who showed up for you without needing to fix you? Have you ever had anyone just sit with you and no words were needed, but you felt the power of the kinship? That's what kinship is. Just accepting you where you are. Why is kinship important? Victims of crime and families affected by violence, and yes, I could be on the other side as well, we experience deep trauma. And we hold trauma in our bodies. We do have whole trauma in our bodies since childhood even. We hold them. Healing is not just individual, it's relational and community driven. Kinship reminds us that no one should heal alone. What does meaningful connection look like to you? Think about that, because it's different for everyone. There's no cookie cutter, one size fits all. Okay? My clients, I can't take my 2 clients who've gone through the same types of trauma and therapize them the same way. It just takes listening and connecting to people. And there's no wrong way to grieve. Like you said, no one can tell you how long that you should grieve. It's different for everyone. Some people laugh. Some people say, I'm gonna have a spirit of happiness. And that's how I choose to honor. Some people cry. Some people can't get up for a week or a month. There's no wrong way to grieve. Kinship in action. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. Sometimes a lot of times we want to be alone. We don't want to be bothered. And sometimes we need that, but we don't want to stay too long in isolation. Because our bodies need connection. We're social beings. Support groups, advocacy, and safe spaces give trauma survivors what they need most, and that is connection. Healing is important. I'll get to this, but healing is important. Understanding trauma in your body is very important to healing. We do need people. And talk therapy is wonderful. It's very helpful. But we also have to remove that trauma from our bodies. And that's something that talk therapy alone cannot do. Trauma lives in the body. It shows up as anxiety, illness, disconnection, isolation, anger, irritability, and it can even manifest into illnesses like, there are a bunch of them, fibromyalgia, lupus, autoimmune diseases. Yes, they can stem from trauma, multiple sclerosis. So it's very, very important to get that out of our bodies. If we do a body scan right now, where are you holding your trauma? Are your shoulders tight? Are your teeth clenched? Are your muscles tight? Are you holding trauma in your stomach? I was doing body scans the whole time because I was feeling the emotion from the stories today. Do a body scan from your head to toe and just notice what's tense and how your body holds trauma. Here's some practical ways. There are multiple ways. If you Google somatic exercises, there's a plethora of choices out there that we can remove trauma from the body. Yes, from childhood. I'm a victim of childhood trauma as well. Deep breathing. If we breathe in, and we can try it now. Let's breathe in. I'm going to breathe in. If you have any upper respiratory issues or challenges, don't hold for 3 seconds. Don't breathe in for 3, hold for 3, and breathe out for 3. Just take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. We want it to come from the throat, not like, almost like you're saying, smell my breath. So we're going to try it one time. Let's breathe in, hold it, breathe out. We're okay. I always put I'm okay at the end of that, because we have to let our bodies know that we're okay. That's the altered version. It's really called 4-square breathing, and you breathe in to the count of 4, hold it to the count of 4, breathe out to the count of 4, and then pause again. I have my clients give a safe word or a phrase at the end of that pause, at the end of the last breath out instead of the pause, letting yourself know that you're okay. There's another one called Shake It Out. Now, I'm not going to ask you to stand up and shake it out, but it looks like this. It looks like this. Fine, how about my class today? This releases the trauma that we hold from our cheeks all the way down, just doing this. If you have a court case, if you have anything that you need to shake it out from it, to remove that stress. Yeah, so now if you see your coworkers doing this around you know what they're doing. Kim told us to do that. And self-hug. I will ask you to do this. I have clients who are reluctant to give a self-hug. That's telling. It's telling. I even felt weird when I first started doing self-hugs. But I will ask you, wrap your arms around yourselves. Just squeeze gently. You can close your eyes, you can keep them open. Take a deep breath. And let yourself know you're okay. You're okay because you're here. A lot of people aren't today, right? And it's okay not to be okay, by the way. No, it doesn't want to stop. My closing thought, one thought, just, it doesn't want to stop. Closing thoughts. Healing from trauma requires connection. Both with ourselves, thank you. Both with ourselves and others. Kinship and mindfulness together create a pathway for recovery. Let's continue fostering safe, compassionate spaces for survivors because we heal in community. I just want to thank you for being present today. As you leave this space today, may you carry forward the courage, continue to show up for yourself and others in compassion, presence, and kinship. Take one last deep breath, and at the end of that breath, just think about one thing you were grateful for today. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
This is for you. Thank you. So now I know what I'm going to be doing before the news tonight. Shake it. Absolutely. I loved your message about community and trauma survivors needing connection. I think we all need that connection, and it's so easy to isolate ourselves. So thank you for that reminder and those beautiful words, Kim. At this time, I would like to introduce our acting United States Attorney of the Middle District of North Carolina, Randall Gallion. He's going to give some remarks and present the Distinguished Victim Services Award for prosecutors, law enforcement officers, and victim advocates. Randall.
Thank you, Deborah. It's a great honor to be here. As she said, my name is Randall Gallion. I'm the acting United States Attorney in the Middle District of North Carolina, so the 24 counties in the middle part of the state. I have been with the United States Attorney's Office for 23 years, and it's been the privilege of my life to do that work. And part of that is obviously doing victim-related work. It's incredibly important in everything that we do. So I am privileged to have the opportunity to honor those people who have helped in the fight for justice for those victims. The first of which is going to be the Victim Services Distinguished Prosecutor Award, and that's presented to Valerie Pierce. She is the Chief Assistant District Attorney in Pitt County in the District Attorney's Office there. Valerie, if you want to come forward. So I'm not going to read the plaque, but I want to read some remarks, a portion of the remarks from Amy Butcher, who is the MDT coordinator with Teddy Bear Children's Advocacy Center. And I wanted to have Valerie here. I'm going to do this with each of the folks because a lot of times we don't hear congratulations. We don't hear you did a great job, right? It's your job, you know. So of course you were supposed to do a great job. You did a great job. Just want to say a couple things from Amy's nomination, and that is, she said Valerie often goes above and beyond the role of ADA.
She's involved and invested in every step of the way throughout the life of the case. She's one of the Children Advocacy Center's strongest advocates. She will prosecute cases, now, let me say this twice. She will prosecute cases that other ADAs won't touch. She will prosecute cases that other ADAs won't touch. Win or lose, she wants victims. Win or lose, she wants victims to know that they are heard, they matter, and what happened to them was not their fault. Valerie's career has been dedicated to protecting children, putting their needs and rights first, and prosecuting those who have offended against these children. Valerie's been a strong voice for these children as well as a mentor to so many along the way. Congratulations. Next, it's my privilege to give the Victim Services Award Distinguished Law Enforcement Officer to Justin Norman, who's the First Sergeant Detective in the Franklin Police Department. Justin, can you come up? I know this is tough, so Franklin is in Macon County, yes. Western part of the state. I'm from Burke County. I don't want to argue about it. He, of course, couldn't be satisfied with one nomination or two. 3 different people nominated Justin for this award. I'm going to take just a little bit of each of those really quickly. The first was, of course, his boss, who is Devin Holland, who's the Franklin Police Chief. Is the chief here? Or is he keeping things safe back in Franklin?
He's back.
He's back in Franklin. Okay. So he wanted to point out one of the things that Justin was involved in was in August of 2024, the Franklin Police Department conducted a week-long enforcement campaign called Operation Tripwire, which targeted sexual predators. The operation took months of planning, was led by First Sergeant Norman. Some of the charges were prosecuted federally, and that's no surprise considering that Justin is also a cross-sworn task force officer with Homeland Security. There were 50 officers from 13 different agencies that were involved in Operation Tripwire, and without his involvement, it's the police chief and others' belief that that operation would not have been nearly as successful as it was. He is a person who maintains a constant daily dedication and diligence when investigating crimes against children. He works with DSS and local child advocacy centers, is known as, and you'll recognize this phrase, he's known as the go-to person when it comes to investigating crimes against children. He was also nominated by Lisa Ash, who's the executive director of Kids Place. Kids Place is Macon County's child advocacy center. They provide services for child victims and of abuse and obviously their families. She noted that it's difficult to choose a specific case to highlight the work of Detective Norman because he diligently works every child maltreatment case assigned to him with compassion and professionalism. She also noted, honestly, some of the cases that are not prosecuted can take as much time and more work than some of the big cases and certainly take a toll on all the team members. And this is one you rarely hear, but we all hope is the case when we do this work. The world's a much better place and safer place because of Detective Justin Norman. Lastly, Erica Christina Blackwood, who's the advocacy coordinator for North Carolina Coalition Against Sexual Assault. She noted that Detective Norman is the sole detective working cases with juvenile victims in Franklin. He works with Kids Place as their lead detective and serves on the board of REACH, which is the domestic violence sexual assault service provider. His incredible service goes beyond work as he and his wife have fostered at-risk children in their home. For all the work that you've done and all the work you will do, thank you very much. Next, it's my privilege to present the Victim Services Award for Distinguished Victim Service Victim advocates to Karika Yarborough Smith. She is the principal owner and CEO of KYS Consulting Group. She was nominated by Kendra Underwood, who is the Youth Outreach Coordinator at Mindset Kids. Karika spent over 2 decades transforming victim services with a focus on human trafficking and gender-based violence. She's led the Department of Trauma-Informed Survivor-Centered programs that improve access to housing, legal support, and mental health services. Her expertise in dismantling systemic barriers has expanded resources for survivors, ensuring equitable care and protection. In 2017, she founded the Community Advocates Committee. It's a coalition of over 40 culturally specific organizations across North Carolina. And this initiative has strengthened community-based victim services, it's fostered inclusive, survivor-led solutions, and she's played a pivotal role in national policy discussions through the Human Trafficking Leadership Academy, helping to shape strategies that remove institutional obstacles for survivors of color. Karika serves as a consultant for the Office of Victims of Crime, where she provides technical assistance and guidance to programs nationwide, enhancing their capacities to support victims of crime effectively. She also facilitated the Building Collaborative Responses to Domestic Violence and Human Trafficking workshop through Futures Without Violence, training service providers on best practices for supporting survivors of domestic violence and trafficking. That workshop emphasized cross-sector collaboration, trauma-informed care, and culturally responsive strategies, equipping professionals with tools to enhance victim assistance programs nationwide. Beyond all of the program development, Karika has trained hundreds of service providers, law enforcement personnel, and advocates, equipping them with the tools to better identify and support victims. As Coordinator Underwood said in the nomination application, her leadership, innovation, and commitment to justice make her truly deserving of special recognition.
Thank you so much. You know, as we hear the sirens outside, it's just a reminder that this work continues 24/7, 365, and I'm so appreciative all the people in this room who do this work. You never know what's going to face you when you get to a scene, and the people that are going to be impacted, so thank you all so much for everything that you do. Now, I would like to introduce our Spotlight Service Providers video. This is a special tribute video honoring an outstanding service provider. We would like to share this special video recognizing especially the extraordinary efforts of the U.S. Marshals Service, which supports the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's mission to protect children from victimization by providing assistance to federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. This year's Spotlight recipient is the United States Marshals Service Deputy Marshal Cheyenne Franks. She's the Victim Witness Coordinator here in Raleigh. So please watch this video.
Primary mission of the United States Marshals Service is fugitive investigations. We are experts at finding people who do not want to be found. This can also be applied to finding missing children. The United States Marshals Service conducts missing child investigations alongside local law enforcement, providing our support and assistance as they remain the lead investigative agency for the case. My name is Cheyenne Franks. I'm a deputy with the United States Marshals Service for the Eastern District of North Carolina. The United States Marshals Service, we work very closely with the federal and state and local partners across the country to recover our community's most vulnerable children. Every missing child investigation is conducted in collaboration with other law enforcement agencies and commonly require assistance from the Department of Children and Families, Homeland Security Investigations, and the United States Attorney's Office, as well as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is known as MCMEC. The Missing Child Unit is in partnership with MCMEC and assists with missing children cases information sharing. So the United States Marshal Service, we have a full-time liaison assigned to NCMEC. This liaison helps the United States Marshal Service investigators coordinate with NCMEC and use those resources on both missing child cases and sex offender investigations, which is extremely helpful to the job. The United States Marshal Service is currently in the process of redeveloping the agency's Victim Witness Assistant Program. This is to ensure our continued compliance with the Attorney General guidelines for victim and witness assistance. The United States Marshal Service program also provides assistance to victims and witnesses of crimes being investigated by the Marshal Service to ensure that they are treated with fairness and respect for their dignity and privacy, while providing these victims with case status updates, resources, and support during the investigative stage of the criminal justice process. The Marshal Service Victim Witness Specialist provides victims the opportunity to receive services and notification. So a large percentage of our missing child cases are endangered runaways. This is defined as a child under 18 years old who has left home without permission and whose whereabouts are unknown to their legal guardian. To the untrained eye, this scenario may not seem particularly dangerous. In reality, these children may be at the highest risk of sexual exploitation. When a child goes missing, we must be mindful of the potential trauma they may have experienced. So as investigators, remain aware that the person in front of us is a child who may have experienced a lot of suffering and trauma. So we approach every recovery with the awareness that this interaction will likely stay with the child forever. The first interaction between the Marshal Service and a victim of a crime typically occurs during an incredibly unpredictable and traumatic situation. Our investigators have an obligation to support the United States Marshal Service victims throughout the judicial process that may follow, and to inform them of the services available should they need it. The United States Marshal Service can connect recovered children and their families with NCMEC Recovery Services teams who have a variety of resources to support children and families. The Missing Child Unit hosts annual trainings for the United States Marshal Service investigators so that they may be best educated on providing services for the children they've recovered. For each victim that we recover during a missing child investigation, I work hard to establish trust while providing calm and comfort in a stressful situation. I listen to what they need and provide reassurance that they are safe and that the Marshal Service is there to help. I assess the situation to determine if the child is in immediate danger, as well as if medical attention is needed. We provide that, as well as any support and other options while respecting the victim's decisions. I feel like I'm personally making a difference in victim services by reuniting victims with their families and loved ones, by connecting victims with the resources and support we provide, as well as collaborating with other agencies to provide assistance to crime victims and their families. It inspires me knowing that I can make a difference in a positive way for children and their families. If we just take the time to listen, we'll have the ability to fully understand what exactly is going on and what the child or the families are dealing with in that moment. So I would highly recommend other advocates to assist. I've worked with other advocates previously in cases, and it's greatly benefited me as well as the families, and we produce great results.
That message of the care and the thought that goes into interactions with people when things like this happen. I'm so impressed by that and inspired too. Please welcome up Deputy Marshal Franks. Did you all hear that? Middle, and Western Districts of North Carolina, and the various members of the Interagency Council. Thank you all so much for coming today. Your dedication and your commitment to service and helping crime victims is all to be applauded and so appreciated. And in closing, as this year's theme focuses on connecting kinship and healing, it is inspiring for me to see how people have been able to turn their pain into helping others. And I also want to thank all of you for your dogged pursuit of justice, because it is not an easy job. And we all thank you for everything that you do. Thank you all so much for coming.
Before we end, 100 Minutes Black Ensemble is going to conclude with one more song. And we also would like to thank Scott Tyson from the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of North Carolina for all of his help in recording today's program. Scott, this program could not have been done without you. And we'd also like to thank Tina Tillis from our Civil Division for assisting us on an emergency basis. Tina and the civil staff, we would truly like to thank you for all of the hard work in which you all have contributed to this program as well. Thank you all. God bless each and every one of you for attending today's program. Thank you.
They're selling the house this weekend. It's going
Loving on, protecting, shelter me from harm. Alpha and Omega, beginning and the end. Our strong tower, my dearest and best friend. It was you. I Yes, I do. What you done for me, Jesus, I love. How you set me free, Jesus, I love. Lord, you can, Jesus, I love you, I love you. Jesus, I love you, Jesus, I love you, because you did.
Sorry, was that right? No,
Because of what you did, because of who you are, I love you, Jesus. Jesus, I love you, I love you. Jesus, I love you, I love you. Jesus, I love you, I love you. Because you care.
That's